And we are back for chapter 5 of my book, Flowerantha.
It's not just your book, Mama.
It is my book. I wrote it.
No, you're sharing it though.
My daughter is right. I am joined today by my youngest daughter, Cece. And who are the guests you have with us today?
Well, BB is not coming, but I want Lily and
Brittany.
Brittany.
You ready, Cece?
Yep.
All right. The next morning, Mash woke to a quiet house. Bushrell snored in his bed, and Malin's black hair peeked out of the blanket she was sleeping under on the floor near him. He tried to sit up, but grabbed his head in the process. Ow! He tossed the blanket off of him and leaned his elbows on his knees. Using his hands to block the light streaming in from the windows, he cradled his head. Standing up, he saw Beverly sitting at the table with her feet bent underneath her. He kept one hand on his head as he shuffled to the table to join her. "Cerulean." His voice was raw and scratchy. "Hi." She futzed with the lilacs at the bottom of her dress. Mash took a seat across from Beverly and propped one leg up on the chair next to him. "How long have you and Maylin known each other?" 3 years, ever since her family moved in next door. Mash nodded. "I don't have any neighbors. I don't know how much longer I'll have a house either if the monster nights get to it." Beverly fluffed her skirt and readjusted her position. "Those monster night things sound really scary. I want to get out of here as fast as possible, just so I don't have to run into one of them." "They are scary, but you have nothing to worry about with me. I will not let anything happen to you or Maylin," Bushrell said from across the house. He appeared behind Mash's shoulder. Beverly smiled, propped up her elbow, and rested her head on one of her hands. "Hey, Mash, what is that word you said before when you came over here?" "Cerulean? What does that mean? Isn't it a color? I think I've seen that word on a crayon." Mash furrowed his eyebrows. "What's a crayon?" "It's something you color with." Beverly cupped her hand with her fingers touching, like she was holding a crayon, and pretended to write on the table. "Like a pencil," said Mash. "Yeah, but with colors." Mash nodded, considering the idea. "I should like a crayon. Anyway, cerulean means hello in Floweranthan." "Cerulean," she said, syllable by syllable. "And Bushrell. Your mom said something in Floweranthan last night when she was trying to make tea. Oompa Loompa something?" Bushrell scrunched his nose and chuckled. "Maoompi, that is..." He paused, reaching for an English equivalent, and made a circular motion with his hands. "If something disgusts you." "My mother says that one quite often. She likes things clean." "Gross," Mash helped. "It means gross." Beverly winced. "No wonder she doesn't like me. I'm pretty messy." "She does like you, I think. She seems to like Maylin," said Bushrell. "Of course." He opened his mouth to clarify. "I can see how Maylin would be quite likable, but you are too. You made me laugh just then, and that is not an easy task." "I believe my mother is concerned, because you are from the Amaranth, the other land. Nothing good has come from there lately." "What happened?" Before he could answer, the floor creaked on the other side of the room, and Maylin sat down on the last free chair, rubbing her eyes. "Cerulean," said Beverly. Hi," said Maylin. She and Bushrell exchanged fond yet shy glances. "That means hello. Mash taught it to me." When Bushrell's mother woke up, she used up her wishes on a large breakfast of eggs, bread, fruit, sugary pastries, and anything else she could think of. Bushrell groaned. "You feel as sick as I do, huh?" asked Mash. "Except I'm starving." "You two should not have drunk so much last night." His mother passed him a plate with 2 eggs on it. Bushrell sniffed and turned away from the table, holding his hand over his mouth. "I will just eat the toast. I'm not really feeling so well." "Suit yourself." She scraped the eggs onto Mash's plate across from him. "They are delicious, madam," said Mash. "Better than my mother could wish up, actually." Bushrell clapped his hand over his mouth again, this time to mock Mash's sincerity. Bushrell excused himself from the table, grabbing a piece of toast as he went. "So, girls," Bushrell's mother said, pouring some milky liquid in each of their glasses, "I must say, it is so fascinating to have visitors in my own home. Are there any questions we can answer for you?" Maylin shook her head. Beverly put down the fruit that she had been picking at. a round fruit the size and texture of an orange, except it had a blue rind surrounding orange flesh. I don't know if I'm supposed to ask this, but what happened to that Shrew-tonight guy? How did he get away? Olivia didn't tell us much. Mash leaned forward, nearly knocking over his own glass. It's still a mystery. A group of landwalker hunters saw him dive into a small pond, not even as tall as a man. Then landwalker soldiers showed up and started questioning the hunting party, but they couldn't explain it. After that, many people went to that pond and tried to pass through it like Shrew-tonight did, but they just ended up muddy. Time for some training, then we must depart. It is a long way to the mountains, said Bushrall. He propped his foot up on a chair and laced up his sandal. Bushrall had changed his clothes from the previous night. The night before, he had worn a navy blue linen uniform shirt with a V-neck and sleeves rolled up to his elbows and breeches for pants. Mash had assumed the shirt was his father's due to the size of it. Bushrall now wore a stiff woven bamboo vest and shorts, this time with a sky blue linen army shirt underneath. Mash stood up and faced Bushrall. Bushrall frowned at Mash's feet. Where are your shoes? I don't have any. I hardly ever wear shoes. Bushrall shrugged, but his mother rose and squeezed Mash's arm. You need shoes to get out of these woods. I have an old pair of my husband's somewhere. Let me see if I can find them. Bushrall's eyebrows came down so far they covered half his eyes. Do you really want to give father's shoes away? Bushy, I miss him too, but he has been gone a long while now. We cannot have you boys wasting wishes on things I can give you right now. She retreated up the ladder to her bedroom and came down with 3 pairs of leather sandals. Girls, I brought a couple pairs for you too. I noticed you no longer have the ones you wore last night. As Mash put on the sandals, Bushrall said, Are you ready now? Anything else you need of father's? Maybe he should take a weapon too, said his mother. Before Bushrall could make a biting retort, Mash put up his hands to refuse. I'm okay, madam. Thank you for the shoes, but I will worry about weaponry later. My friend Nautica can secure me something from the Mermaid Kingdom if I need it. Just take it. You need something to practice with anyway. Bushrall spun on his heel and was down the stairs before his mother could come back with his father's sword. When Mash found Bushrall in the yard, he was shooting arrows one by one into a tree, hitting almost the same spot each time. Without looking over, Bushrall said, Bow or sword, what would you like to start with? I think I have sword fighting handled already. Mash swished the sword through the air and mimed thrusting it at an enemy as Bushrall stood poised with an arrow balanced on his bow. Bushrall lowered the weapon. Right, we will start with the sword. Mash had been doing everything wrong. From the way he held the sword even to the way his feet were positioned, Bushrall corrected it all. Mash was receptive at first, but it didn't take long before he grew tired of the young boy's impatient instructions. They sparred, and Bushrall scolded until they were both sweaty, red-faced, and fed up with each other. Bushrall wiped his forehead with his sleeve. You will not become a soldier, but you know the basics at least. We will head out now. Talkative Mash said nothing, and he continued silently fuming all the way up the stairs, through the door, and even when Mei Lin asked how it went. Are you leaving now? Asked Bushrall's mother. When Bushrall said that they were, she embraced each of the children, but lingered in her son's arms longer. Please be safe, Bushrall. Mash noticed tears in Bushrall's eyes, but he blinked them away. I will make you and father proud. You already do, son. Just come home safely. Erosia, Bushrall. Erosia too, mother. To Mash's dismay, Bushrall kept them in the forest for most of the day. He explained that he thought it would be safer than being exposed along the water. Although he wasn't as sure of this particular route, he was confident that it would bring them to his destination anyway. Hours later, they reached the end of the woods, which bordered on a slow-moving river. Nautica was waiting, leaning her elbows on the shore, with the water moving past her. Cerulean, said Bushrall. Mash pushed past Bushrall. Nautica, hello! Cerulean, she said. It is a pleasure to meet you, Bushrall. Pleasure is mine. Bushrall locked eye contact with Nautica for a few seconds until she smiled, and then her eyes flicked in Mash's direction. A sloth, Mash? You were almost attacked by a sloth? He smirked. It was a gamboge. They're faster than you think. Her attention settled on the 2 young girls next, and her smile shrank. Are these the visitors? Mash guided each of the girls forward with his hands on their backs. This is Beverly and Maylin. Maylin gave a silent wave and then stared down at the flowers on her own dress. Beverly clasped her hands together. It's so exciting to meet a mermaid. I love your hair. Nautica barely acknowledged the girls before she addressed Bushra again. To the castle then? Yes, to the castle. The boys walked right on the water's edge with the girls next to them, while Nautica swam against the current beside them. Have you heard from Olivia? Asked Mash. No, I have not seen her since we left. No one can tell me where she is either, so this official business of hers must be pretty secret. Bushrell's stomach growled. Was that you? Asked Beverly. We just ate before we left, said Mash. You ate. I had nothing, said Bushrell. I don't think you should waste a wish on food just yet. Maybe we'll find some berries if we keep walking, or eat them off of Maylin's dress. Mash plucked a single berry from her shoulder. She slapped his hand away. Hey! I'm not that desperate. Those berries are 15 years old. I will be fine. He touched his bow. When you have a bow and arrow, you do not need to waste wishes on food at all. I can wait. His stomach growled again, and he put his arm around himself in an attempt to stifle it. Let's keep walking. His voice softened as he cast a glance at Nautica, or swimming. The sun blazed high in the sky, but the group felt comfortable, not too hot. Flowerantha's temperature was always perfect. The terrain changed the further they walked. The never-ending garden of flowers became sparser and sparser, with larger expanses of grass between each bloom. The mountains were in view and getting bigger. Soon, Nautica could not go on with them. I guess this is where we part again, said Mash. I will find us food before we go. Wait here, said Bushrell. Is there anything you would like, girls? Nautica? A bird? Squirrel? Gamboge, perhaps? Nautica hid a smile behind her hand. No, thank you. I do not eat meat, but you may. I'm not offended by it, depending on the meat. Bushrell's cheeks reddened. I will not return empty-handed, he said, and spun on his heel. Mash burst out laughing and held his stomach. Even I know mermaids don't eat meat, and I don't pay that much attention. Nautica sent a stream of water flying at him with her tail. Be nice, Mash. He is trying. Mash, said Maylin. The flowers are changing colors. Is that normal? The flowers that dotted the grass around them changed from vibrant pinks and yellows to a pale sky blue. Wiping tears out of his eyes from laughing, Mash looked at the flowers with disinterest. Yeah, it's normal. They change colors all the time. When Bushrell returned, and they parted from Nautica, he brought them back to the tree line to set up camp for the night. Gather all the long sticks you can. We can make a shelter for the girls, and I will wish for some blankets. Mash, Maylin, and Beverly got to work picking up fallen branches and snapping low ones off of trees, while Bushrell wished for a knife and sawed some of the thick boughs. Soon, they had constructed a comfortable escape for themselves in the form of a lean-to made out of sticks and a crackling fire nearby. Mash wished them each a blanket, and the girls huddled around the fire to eat. Before you sit down, Mash, we need to have another training session. Bushrell held the knife out to Mash, handle first. Mash grumbled as he wrapped his fingers around the knife handle. Bushrell stepped out of the way. Try that tree. I cleared some branches for you. He pointed to a tree directly in Mash's line of sight, but far enough away to present a challenge. Mash arched his arm back and let the knife fly in the direction of the tree. It hooked to the right and rustled into a bush. The girls giggled. Bushrell gestured to the bush. Well? Mash ground his teeth together and stomped toward the bush. He reached his arm into the middle of the bush while the sharp thorns, hidden by the leaves, raked across his skin. His arm was striped with bright red lines when he repositioned himself to try again. This time he overcompensated, sending the blade far to the left. The girls held back their giggles. Mash's shoulders sagged in defeat, so Bushrell retrieved the knife for him. Giving him the knife, Bushrell said, We're not eating until you hit the tree. On his fifth try, the knife grazed the side of the tree, shaving a piece of bark off. Mash looked at Bushrell for approval, but also daring him to say that wasn't good enough. Close enough, we can eat, said Bushrell. Beverly cheered and Maylin clapped her hands. Without waiting for it to cool down, Mash grabbed a stick with meat on the end from the fire and chomped into the blackened meat. He waved his hand in front of his mouth to try to cool it down as he chewed. The meat was tough and salty and drier than he would have preferred. But it was food, and it tasted like a prize after hitting the tree with a knife. Beverly picked at some of her meat. I love that there aren't any bugs here. If we were at home right now, we would be getting eaten alive by mosquitoes. Mash's gray eyes widened. Eaten alive? I had no idea it was so dangerous in the amaranth. Oh, no, that's just a saying. I mean, it is dangerous in some ways. They do suck your blood. Mash's mouth opened, and his inquisitive expression turned into a horrified one. No, I'm not explaining it right. Mosquitoes are just annoying. They'll just make you itchy. She held out her arm to Mash. See? I have a mosquito bite right there. That tiny bump? He sounded disappointed. Yeah, that's all they do, pretty much. Maylin brought her knees to her chest, hugged them, and rested her head on her arm. You look sad, said Bushrell. Not really sad, more scared. I was just thinking about my family and wondering if I'll ever see them again. You miss Kelly? I thought she bugged you, said Beverly. Maylin frowned. Yeah, but she's still my sister. You miss Steve, don't you? What is a Steve? Asked Mash. He poked the fire with his stick. He's my oldest brother. My other brothers are annoying, and my sister and I don't have much in common, but Steve and I are buds. Maylin lifted her head off her knees. I don't think Rob and Willie are annoying. That's because they both have crushes on you. I don't think Kelly's that bad. Our moms and dads probably think we've been kidnapped. She hugged her legs tighter. We need to get home. Bushrell went to pat her leg, but instead he clasped his hands in front of him. I am sorry you are scared. We will keep you as safe as possible. I wish we could all go to the Amaranth, said Mash. Beverly reclined on her side near the fire and arranged the blanket over her. This may sound weird, but I didn't even think about how worried my parents would be. My parents waited so long to adopt me and Kelly. They would be crushed if they lost one of us. I don't even like thinking about it. Unlike mine, who have 4 replacements if I go missing. Maylin shook her head. Don't say that. Your mom and dad would miss you too. Yeah, I know. Beverly used a blanket to wipe a tear dripping down the side of her nose before anyone could see it, but Mash noticed. Maylin yawned, and Bushrell pointed with the stick he had been poking the fire with. You two can sleep in the shelter. I will stay out here and keep watch. The girls wrapped the blankets they had been sitting on around themselves and ducked under the array of sticks and lay down. Mash lay down on his side in front of the fire. Do you want me to take a shift? No, I do not think I will fall asleep tonight. If you say so. Mash yawned, closed his eyes, and nestled his head into the crook of his elbow. Well, that's the end of chapter 5. As you can tell, Cece didn't make it all the way through, but, you know, she's 5. What do you do?